everyone, it's AndrewMycol and welcome to today's Nintendo Switch demo review. And in today's review, we are checking out the Path of Motus, which is available on the Nintendo eShop for $14.99. And this game is made by Michael Arch, which is a two-person team of Michael Hicks and Goncalo Antunes. So let's get into today's video. So today's demo is going to be about a game that is more of a story-driven game, but it also is a kind of short demo because I was just playing it and I think it took me about 45 minutes to complete it because there is a lot of aspects to this game. So basically what this main character is, you play as a goblin, but your goblin consists of 3 powers, including a 4th one, which I'll be talking about each one of them. So, when you're first playing this game, you're basically going through this explanation of how you got a paintbrush, and the magical paintbrush that you get is basically your powers of helping yourself get out of the forest that everyone is captured in, and anyone that tries to leave the forest quit while trying. So you play as attempting to be the first person to escape the forest so that way everyone else can. So you are giving your father's paintbrush to basically paint bridges and also to have 3 special powers: a red power that is executed by the X button, and then you have the yellow, which is going to be shot through the Y button, and then you have the B button, which my mistake, that is the red one. The X one is the blue one, and I'll explain what each 3 of these does as we go on. So when you go through this game, the first part of it is you taking down someone's friend, but their friend is a bully. So you have to do what every bully needs to do. You have to beat them up. So you have your 3 powers, and when you first go through it, you have your 3 powers to take down enemies and also vines. So as you can see, yellow obviously takes down yellow vines and also takes down a yellow creature or a red goblin who is using the yellow power. You also have the blue power, and you can use it to take down blue vines, and you can also take down the enemy if he's shooting blue at you. Same thing with red. If you have red vines or if the person that's shooting at you has a red power, you can use your red to shoot him down and you can move on. Now, the platforming in this game really isn't too bad. I mean, honestly, from a platforming standpoint, this really isn't a hard game because that's really just part of it. And pretty much this is an exploration adventure game too, so there is parts of platforming in here. There's a little bit of puzzle solving as well, because when you move through this game, you also have this guy who says he's the friend of the person that's been trying to beat you up. So whenever you beat him up, instead of saying, "Oh, thank you God for saving me from this bully," no, instead he blames you for killing him, because while he's being bullied, he turns around and blames you for killing the person that was being bullied. So really, even if he dies, you don't get a penalty for it. So basically with that, you also have little caves that you go in, and in this demo there are 24 papers you're trying to collect, and you can only get 5 of them in this demo, which really I'm not too sure what would have happened if you've gotten all of them, but I went through all of these tunnels and I went through all of it as much as I could to find all these papers. You only get 5 or 6 of them, so you don't get that special award. But when you're also progressing through this game, you also have the paintbrush. Now, what I meant about the paintbrush and basically making bridges and also getting places, you can also connect numbers, and those numbers have lines you got to connect, and it's kind of a mathematical puzzle that you have to do. So you have to think how exactly you could get one number to fit in the other, and how these combination of numbers would make a pattern, and that pattern lowers a bridge, or it makes a bridge so that way you can cross over, so that way you can traverse further through the forest, and the further you go through the forest, the more exploration you can do. Now, the circles with the numbers are how many lines of paints you need to fix something. So if it's a circle with 4, that means you have to have 4 lines connecting it. If you have a 3, you have 3 lines connecting it, so on and so on. And so, basically through this, as you keep going, the puzzles get harder and harder because you have to have the certain combination to get through this forest. So basically, these puzzles are like a combination lock, where you have a certain endless amount of combinations, but only one of them is going to get you through the end. And with that, you are then able to move further along. But then, at the end of the demo, when you're playing, if you know how to do the puzzles, which by the way, I kind of didn't know how to do the puzzles, so what I had to do is look up a guide, which if you guys want to use that guide for this trial, I will have that in the description down below. And by the way, this game was in the PlayStation last year, and there are a couple of guides out there that will help you get through these puzzles. So if you get stuck on anywhere, you can basically look at that guide, and it'll show you how exactly you need to do this. And when you get done with the demo, you'll try to progress as much as you can, but then there will be a little cat that'll be stopping you, and you'll be at a bridge, and the cat will say, well, thank you for trying to help me find that rat. Wait a minute, you're on the trial version. You can't go any further than you can. And so the cat basically is trying to sell you to buy the game, which is only $15. So really, to be honest, this game really isn't that terribly well done. I mean, it looks decent and it looks good, but I mean, it's like a cartoony-ish game. And what I meant by not terribly well done, what I mean by that is, this game is pretty well done. I mean, if you look at the music and everything that's in there, it's a really neat game, I will say. Now, there's nothing too exactly spectacular about it, but honestly, this is a pretty fairly well-made game. There's nothing really too much to complain about, and even when I was playing it, really the puzzles weren't too bad. And plus, too, with this game already being out on the PlayStation, since Michael and Goncalo have been working on this game for 3 years, and when this game released on the PlayStation, basically people made trophy guides for them, and they are compatible with the Switch, and there's nothing that changes between the two. So that's a really good thing I like about that, is the game from the PlayStation to the Switch really is just, you don't really have to use the analog stick in this game much. You just do up, down, left, and right, which gets you a lot further than you need. The only thing is that you can tell sometimes that you have a little bit of a mix of everything, but I feel like this game's more puzzle heavy than it is platforming heavy, so really, that's nothing really too much to complain about. So what do I think about this game? Well, when I was playing this game earlier, I read the description. I was expecting a much darker game, because that description really goes through this little story of how everyone is trapped in the forest and no one has been able to get out. So I was expecting some kind of deep, dark, secret game that's going to go down real fast, but I was pleasantly surprised, because that's not what happened at all. Basically, you just wake up from a nap, and then your father gives you a paintbrush, and you have 3 powers, which the game really didn't explain how you got those 3 powers in the first place. You just woke up with them. And so it kind of confused me a little bit how exactly you got those powers in the first place. But then your grandfather comes up to you and he says, anyone that tries to get through this forest has tried as much as they can, but they quit mostly through this game. And so it's got a little bit of darkness to it, but not too much to what I was expecting. I mean, of course there's a sense of bullying in this game, which really, I don't know exactly why that would make sense to put that in here in the first place, because it's like, is this game trying to beat you up or something with the character lines and all that? Honestly, with a game like this being story-driven, you would think the Path of Motus would be people trying to bring you down, obviously, which is a kind of a interesting little touch to it. But honestly, they could have gone a little bit further with it, saying, well, there's something going on, and these people have been driven and been discouraged to where they quit through the adventure and that they can't really get through this, which honestly is not the greatest plot, I will say. They could have done something like everyone that's gone through fought a monster, and that monster killed him, and instead people just quit. And it's like, wait a minute, so you just went through 2 hours of trying to go through a forest, and then all of a sudden one little thing starts making you quit. And then you have little friend things in here that are like, wow, I have this friend, but then this friend, every time he does something, he makes fun of me, but then when I make fun of him, he gets mad and stuff. And it's like, and you're trying to make the player who's playing against the Green Goblin feel bad because you made bad, poor decisions. And so, the thing with this character plot, and the thing with this is that, where did I do that? Oh, anyways, I'll look at that later. Anyways, the thing with this game is that it really makes you think a little bit about why exactly the developers put that here in the first place. It's like, if you're going to make such a unique story, you might as well start thinking about a unique character line. Like, I know there's some quirky stuff in here, but being driven to go all the way and then quitting for no reason is not a good enough character plot. I mean, I have seen a lot of games, and just having a story that says, okay, well, the predecessors, yeah, they were strong and mighty, and they had a paintbrush, and they had powers, and they could go through the forest, but then all of a sudden they feel depressed because one of their friends started bullying them, and the next thing you know, they start quitting, and it's like, what is that? What in the world is that? And so, honestly, I'm torn between giving this game a 3 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5, and the reason I don't want to give it a 5 out of 5 is obviously because the character plot and everything like that just seems too odd. I mean, when you have a red guy that's a trainer trying to bully you, and then the person you save try to blame you for killing him because he got bullied, but then he turns around and blames you for it, and it's like, what? How did... Okay. But honestly, everything else in this game with the platforming is easy, the color shooting is easy, and the puzzles are not too terribly bad. I mean, and plus too, with this game being already out, if you get stuck on anything, you can literally go look up a guide, which really that makes this easy. And this game, trying to find papers and everything is easy because it's a straight up and down, and then you go up and down whenever you're going through caves and everything. But if you go one place, you can't get locked out. And if you fall off the platform, it goes to where you killed the last enemy and where he was standing. Really, there's nothing too hard about this game. And so because of that, it is kind of well made. And the powers and everything kind of confused me enough to where you got them in the first place. And so I'm going to have to give this game a 3 out of 5. I mean, I could give it a 4 out of 5, but I'm kind of, you know what, we'll get a 3.5. How about that? We'll just give this game a 3.5, and we can't give it a 4, because these characters and the way they could have thought this through, they could have put a little bit more thought into the characters and everything. But I don't want to give it a 3 because it's not an average game. Seems like they put thought into it, but not too much thought into it. So that's why I'm giving this game a 3.5 out of 5 thumbs up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's demo. Comment down below if you would play this game. And until next time, I'm AndrewMycol, and I'll see you guys next time. Thumbs up.
This is just an outro.